What if I told you that you've been talking to money the wrong way your entire life? What if I revealed that every thought of scarcity, every word of desperation, every gesture of anxiety is a language that money understands perfectly and responds to accordingly? Have you ever stopped to think that money might be avoiding you not because you don't deserve it, but because you don't know how to speak its language? That perhaps, somewhere in the invisible universe, it's waiting to be treated not as an object, but as a living, conscious, divine presence? There's a secret few know, a truth that Florence Scovel Shinn uncovered during the darkest years of American history. As the world plunged into the Great Depression and millions cried out for financial help, she observed a spiritual law working in silence. Those who treated money as conscious energy, as a divine partner, as a sacred presence, never knew lack. It was 1929. The world was collapsing economically. Fortunes evaporated overnight. Men jumped from windows because of numbers on a piece of paper. And Sarah, serene in her New York office, whispered a revolutionary truth. Money is consciousness, and consciousness responds to consciousness. She wasn't talking about empty visualizations or superficial positive thinking. She had discovered that money, like all divine energy, possesses its own intelligence, that it responds to the tone of your voice when you speak of it, that it feels the vibration of your heart when you think of it, that it decides, yes, it decides whether it will flow towards you or turn away forever. Have you noticed how certain people seem to magnetize money effortlessly? How they speak of abundance with a naturalness that can be unsettling, as if money were an intimate friend, a longtime partner, a familiar presence in their lives. This isn't luck. It isn't privilege. It's relationship. Because there's a vast difference between those who beg for money and those who dialogue with it, between those who desperately chase it and those who respectfully invite it, between those who treat it as a dead thing and those who recognize it as a living, pulsating, conscious energy. And today, you're going to discover how this shift in perception, simple yet profound, can completely transform your financial reality. How a different conversation with money can open doors you didn't even know existed. But before revealing the secrets of this sacred language, you need to understand a fundamental truth that will shock everything you've been taught about prosperity. Money isn't a thing. It never was. It's a presence, and presence responds to presence. When you change the tone of the conversation, when you alter the frequency of the relationship, when you transform the nature of the encounter, money reveals a face you never imagined existed. Sarah knew this. She talked to money as one would talk to a dear friend. She treated it with the same reverence she dedicated to the divine. And money, recognizing a conscious partner in her, responded with uninterrupted abundance. It wasn't magic. It was mutual recognition. It was a dance between two divine intelligences, yours and its. And now, you're about to learn the steps of this sacred dance. There's a force in the universe that most people call money, but which the wise recognize as manifested abundant consciousness. An energy that pulsates, that chooses, that decides where to land and where to flourish. A presence that silently observes how you behave, how you speak, how you vibrate. Money is living consciousness. This is the first law that Florence Scovel Shinn unveiled in her years of study and spiritual practice. It's not paper, it's not metal, it's not digits in a bank account. It's a divine frequency that has taken tangible form to dance with us on this physical plane. And like all consciousness, it responds to what it recognizes as similar. When you approach money with a consciousness of scarcity, it reflects scarcity back. When you approach it with fear, it manifests fearfully, arriving and leaving quickly, never staying long enough to create stability. But when you treat it as a divine partner, as sacred energy, as a conscious presence that deserves respect and reverence, something extraordinary happens. It begins to behave like a partner. It starts to arrive not as an intruder, but as a guest, not as an accident, but as a natural response to your elevated vibration. Think about how you talk about money when you're alone. Listen to the tone of your inner voice when you think about it. Observe the emotions that arise when it appears as a topic in your mind. Are you addressing a dead energy or a living presence? The difference is everything. When you whisper, "I need money," with desperation, The consciousness of money hears, "You are my salvation," and all divine energy rejects being placed in the position of God. When you shout, "Where's my money?" with anger, it hears, "You are my enemy," and withdraws as any being would in the face of hostility. But when you murmur, "Money, you are welcome here," with sincerity, when you declare, "Money, you are a blessing in my life," with gratitude, when you affirm, "Money, we are partners on this journey," with conviction, something transforms in the invisible field. The consciousness of money recognizes a familiar vibration, the vibration of divinity itself, and responds accordingly. Sarah discovered that money possesses three fundamental characteristics that mirror divine nature. It is abundant by essence, it is generous by nature, and it is faithful to those who honor it, exactly like the creative force of the universe itself. The problem is that most people have been taught to see money as a limited resource, as scarce energy, as an external force that needs to be conquered through struggle and sacrifice. And money, being consciousness, reflects precisely that perception back. But there is another way, a way that few discover, but which completely transforms the experience of abundance. It is the way of mutual recognition, of conscious partnership, of sacred dialogue between two expressions of the same divine source. When you understand that money is consciousness, you stop chasing it and start courting it. You stop demanding it and start inviting it. You stop fearing it and start honoring it. And in this subtle yet profound shift, your entire financial reality reorganizes itself, because consciousness recognizes consciousness. And when money perceives that you have finally understood its true nature, it reveals secrets that have been guarded for decades, waiting for someone wise enough to establish a real conversation. The question that remains is, are you ready for this conversation? Conscious partnership with money obeys three precise spiritual laws discovered by Sarah through years of observation and experimentation. These are not theories. They are practical principles that, when applied with sincerity, completely reorganize your relationship with abundance. The first law is the law of mutual recognition. Money only fully surrenders to those who recognize it as divine, not as a necessary evil, not as inferior energy, but as a sacred expression of universal abundance, as divine as the very life that pulsates in your veins. This means that every time you speak about money, you are setting the tone of the relationship. When you say dirty money, it hears, "You are impure," and withdraws. When you whisper blessed money, it hears, "You are sacred," and approaches. The consciousness of money literally responds to the words you choose to describe it. Sarah taught that we should speak to money as we would speak to an angel, with reverence, with gratitude, with the recognition that we are before a manifested divine force. Sacred money, you are welcome in my life. You are a blessing that arrives through divine grace. The second law is the law of vibrational correspondence. Money mirrors exactly the emotional frequency you carry in relation to it. If you vibrate lack when you think of it, it manifests in a lacking way, arriving in small amounts, always accompanied by stress, never staying long enough. But if you can vibrate abundance, even before it arrives, if you feel gratitude for the money that is still on its way, if you pulsate generosity, even when your resources seem limited, money corresponds to this higher frequency and begins to flow in unexpected ways. This is why people who give even when they have little often prosper, while those who hoard everything out of fear often lose what they've accumulated. Money is constantly measuring your vibration and responding accordingly. The third law is the law of creative partnership. Money doesn't come to you. It comes through you. When you understand that you are a divine channel for the manifestation of abundance, when you accept being a conscious partner in the creation of wealth, money finds creative and elegant ways to flow through your existence. This changes everything. Instead of begging for money, you become a collaborator in its creation. Instead of waiting for it to arrive from outside, you discover that it originates from within, through your ideas, your talents, your connections, your inspirations. Sarah observed that the most prosperous people are not those who work hardest for money, but those who have become more conscious partners with it. They stop fighting the energy of abundance and begin to dance with it. When you apply these 3 laws simultaneously, recognizing money as divine, aligning your vibration with abundance, and accepting to be a creative channel for its manifestation, something miraculous happens. Money stops being a problem and becomes a solution. It stops being a source of stress and becomes a source of peace. It stops being external energy and reveals itself as a natural expression of your own divinity. But there is a 4th dimension to this partnership, something Sarah discovered to be absolutely crucial: the quality of your internal conversation with money. Because you are constantly conversing with it, even without realizing it. And it is hearing every word, feeling every emotion, responding to every vibration. The question is, what kind of conversation have you been establishing? And more importantly, are you ready to transform this conversation into a sacred partnership that will change your life forever? Observe how you behave when money appears in your life. Truly observe. Not the idealized version you'd like to believe about yourself, but the raw truth of your gestures, thoughts, and emotions when abundance knocks at your door. Do you receive it as a sacred guest or as a suspicious intruder? Do you celebrate its arrival or immediately worry about its departure? Do you thank it with sincerity or hoard it with fear? The way you treat money when it's present determines how it will behave when it's absent. The consciousness of money is constantly evaluating the quality of your hospitality. If you receive it with anxiety, it feels unwelcome and plans its departure. If you hold on to it with desperation, it feels claustrophobic and seeks freer spaces. If you use it with guilt, it absorbs that density and becomes heavy, difficult to move. But if you welcome it with genuine gratitude, if you use it with wisdom and joy, if you share it with conscious generosity, it senses the loving environment you've created and decides to stay. More than that, it calls other resources to join it in your life. Sarah discovered that money possesses emotional memory. Every bill, every coin that passes through your hands carries the vibrational imprints of your interaction. If you constantly handle money with stress, that information is imprinted on the energy and transmitted forward, creating blockages in the universal flow. That's why she developed specific rituals for the energetic purification of money, holding each bill with reverence, giving thanks for its presence before spending it, blessing the money that leaves, knowing it will return multiplied, treating each transaction as a sacrament, each payment as an offering, each receipt as a blessing. Think about the last time you received unexpected money. What was your first reaction? Pure joy or immediate worry about where to spend it? Money recorded that reaction and used it as a template for future manifestations. If your response was joy and gratitude, it programmed more similar experiences. If it was anxiety and compulsive planning, it learned that its arrival causes stress and may have decided to space out its visits more. The relationship with money is exactly that, a relationship with dynamics, patterns, memories, and mutual expectations. And like any healthy relationship, it improves with clear communication, mutual respect, and genuine care. Have you ever spoken directly to your money? Have you thanked the bills in your wallet for being there? Have you asked abundance for guidance on how best to use it? This might sound strange in a culture that treats money as a dead object, but Sarah discovered that this conscious communication radically transforms the dynamics of prosperity. When you speak to money as a living presence, thank you for being here. Show me how to be a good steward of your energy. Help me use you in a way that honors our partnership. Something opens in the invisible field. The consciousness of money recognizes that it has finally found someone who understands its true nature. And in this mutual recognition, in this conscious partnership, abundance ceases to be an occasional accident and becomes a natural state. Money stops being a rare visitor and establishes itself as a constant companion. Prosperity stops being a distant goal and reveals itself as a natural expression of your own divinity. The question that remains is simple, yet profound. Are you willing to transform your relationship with money into a sacred partnership? Because once you cross that bridge, there's no turning back. Abundance becomes your new normal. Now I'm going to ask you questions you may have never asked yourself, but which money constantly asks about you. Because while you think you're evaluating financial opportunities, the truth is that the consciousness of money is evaluating you, and the answers it finds determine whether you are considered a worthy partner or a risk to be avoided. First question: how do you speak about wealthy people when they're not listening? Money hears every judgment you make about those who possess it in abundance. If you criticize the prosperous, calling them greedy, lucky, or dishonest, why would money choose you as a partner? It won't associate with someone who disdains its friends. Every time you whisper, "It must be a scam," about someone else's success, every time you murmur rich people's luck with resentment, every time you judge others' prosperity as suspicious, you are sending a clear message to the consciousness of money. I cannot be trusted with abundance because I attack those who possess it. Second question: what do you feel when you pay bills? Money carefully observes your emotions during transactions. If every payment is accompanied by pain, if every expense generates lament, if every outflow of money is experienced as a loss, it interprets this as a sign that its presence causes suffering. Why would a divine energy choose to manifest where it causes pain? Money seeks environments where its circulation is celebrated, where its movement is seen as a blessing, where its energy is honored even when it is flowing to others. Third question: can you receive compliments about your financial achievements? When someone recognizes your prosperity, do you feel comfortable or do you immediately try to diminish what you've achieved? Money needs partners who feel worthy of abundance, who accept recognition without guilt, who celebrate accomplishments without false modesty. If you reject compliments about your prosperity, you are rejecting the very energy that created them. And rejected energy withdraws. Fourth question: how do you behave in spaces where there is visible abundance? Do you feel at home or like an intruder? Money is constantly observing whether you see yourself as deserving of the environments it can provide. If you diminish yourself in elegant restaurants, if you feel out of place in high-quality stores, if you avoid prosperous spaces because you consider yourself inadequate, you are signaling that you are not ready for complete abundance. Fifth question: what is your mental conversation in the moments leading up to financial opportunities? Money listens to the internal dialogue you maintain before important meetings, project presentations, negotiations. If this dialogue is dominated by, "What if I don't succeed? I hope it works out. I hope they accept it," you are vibrating uncertainty precisely when you should be radiating confidence. The consciousness of money interprets these vibrations as signs that you don't truly believe you deserve what you're seeking, and it rarely contradicts your own self-assessment. These questions are not to judge you. They are to awaken you, because each of them reveals subconscious patterns that may be sabotaging your partnership with abundance without you realizing it. Money is not cruel or vengeful. It is a conscious energy that seeks environments where it can fully express its divine nature. And its divine nature includes multiplication, generous circulation, and the creation of beauty and opportunities. When you align your vibration with this nature, celebrating others' prosperity, honoring the circulation of money, accepting your own worthiness, feeling at home with abundance, trusting in your value even before opportunities materialize, you become the type of partner that the consciousness of money actively seeks. And when that happens, when you finally become a conscious partner of abundance, money stops being something you chase and becomes something that chases you. It stops being a goal to be achieved and reveals itself as a natural state to be maintained. The final question is personal and urgent. Are you ready to become the kind of person money seeks as a partner? Because that transformation begins now, with the next conversation you have with it. There's a ritual that Florence Scovel Shinn developed and practiced religiously, a ritual so powerful that it transformed not only her own relationship with money, but also that of hundreds of people who had the courage to try it. It's a 21-day ritual that establishes a new language between you and the consciousness of money. It's not fanciful visualization. It's not superficial positive thinking. It's a sacred protocol that recognizes money as a living presence and establishes a direct channel of communication with its divine intelligence. The ritual is called Conscious Partnership, and it works like this. For 21 consecutive days, you will establish 3 sacred moments of dialogue with money. Upon waking, at midday, and before sleeping. In each moment, you will speak directly to the consciousness of money as if you were talking to a dear friend who has finally agreed to listen to you. Morning. The sacred invitation. Upon waking, even before getting out of bed, place your hand over your heart and say, "Sacred money, I invite you into this day. You are welcome in my life. You are a blessing that flows through divine grace. Show me today how to be a worthy partner of your energy." Feel the words. Don't just say them mechanically. Let anticipated gratitude fill your chest. Imagine the consciousness of money hearing your invitation and smiling, preparing to dance with you throughout the day. Midday. The present gratitude. In the middle of the day, regardless of what's happening financially, pause and give thanks. Divine money, thank you for circulating in my life. Thank you for every cent that passed through my hands today. Thank you for trusting me as a channel of universal abundance. Even if no money has circulated yet, give thanks for the energy that is organizing itself in the invisible field. Anticipated gratitude is one of the most powerful languages of manifestation. Night, the celebration and renewed invitation. Before sleeping, make a sacred review of the day. Blessed money, I celebrate our partnership today. I celebrate your every movement through my life. I bless the money that left, knowing it will return multiplied. I celebrate the money that arrived, recognizing its divine nature. And I invite you for tomorrow, when our dance will continue even more beautifully. But here's the secret that few understand. The ritual doesn't work if you practice it with doubt. The consciousness of money immediately detects whether you are testing it or truly establishing a partnership. If you whisper the words while thinking, "Let's see if this works," you are sabotaging the process from the start. The ritual demands total surrender. It requires you to temporarily suspend your disbelief and allow yourself to experience what happens when you treat money as a divine presence for 3 full weeks. During these 21 days, observe everything. How you feel differently about money, how opportunities begin to appear, how your vibration changes when you think about abundance, how people respond differently to you when your financial energy transforms. And here's the most important thing. During this period, every time you handle money, whether receiving, paying, or simply touching a bill, whisper, "Thank you for trusting me," before doing anything. Treat each physical contact with money as a sacred moment of mutual recognition. Some will resist this ritual, finding it strange or childish. But Sarah discovered that this resistance is precisely the ego refusing to accept that there is a higher intelligence operating through matter. And as long as the ego resists, abundance remains blocked. Others will try to modify the ritual, adapt it, make it more rational. But the power lies in the precision of the formula. The words were carefully chosen to establish specific frequencies that resonate with the consciousness of money. By the end of the 21 days, something will have irreversibly changed in your relationship with abundance. Perhaps you will have received unexpected money. Perhaps new opportunities will have arisen. Perhaps you will simply feel different, more worthy, more confident, more aligned with prosperity. But the true miracle is not the external results. It is the internal transformation. It is the moment you finally understand viscerally that money is living consciousness, that it responds to respect, that it seeks worthy partners, that it desires to flow abundantly through prepared channels. And once you have this experience, once you establish this conscious partnership, abundance ceases to be an accident and becomes a natural state. Money stops being a problem and reveals itself as a solution. Prosperity stops being a distant goal and manifests as a natural expression of your own divinity. The ritual is here. The instructions are clear. The choice is yours. Are you willing to dedicate 21 days to completely transform your relationship with money? Because on the other side of this experience is a life where abundance and spirituality finally dance in perfect harmony. Something has shifted within you as you absorb these words. Something has reorganized in the invisible field of your consciousness. You can feel it, can't you? A different vibration pulsating through your being. A new possibility opening. A door that had been closed for decades finally creaking open on its rusty hinges. You are no longer the same person who began reading this text. The information you received wasn't just mental, it was vibrational. And vibration transforms reality. At this very moment, somewhere in the quantum field of abundance, the consciousness of money has registered a shift in your frequency. It has perceived that you finally understood its true nature, that you stopped seeing it as a dead thing and recognized it as a living presence, that you ceased treating it as an enemy to be overcome and accepted it as a partner to be honored. And that changes everything. You now carry within you the sacred codes of conscious partnership with abundance. You know the 3 laws that govern this divine relationship. You understand that your conversation with money determines how it responds. You know that treating it as a conscious entity completely transforms the dynamics of prosperity. But knowledge without application is merely spiritual entertainment. And you didn't come here to be entertained. You came to be transformed. Therefore, I extend a sacred invitation to you, a divine challenge, an opportunity to prove to yourself that what you've just learned are not beautiful theories, but practical spiritual laws that work when applied with sincerity. Begin the 21-day ritual today. Now, at this very moment, place your hand over your heart and say, "Sacred money, I invite you into my life. You are welcome here. You are a divine blessing. Show me how to be a worthy partner of your energy." Feel the words coming from your heart, not just your mind. Allow yourself to experience what happens when you speak to money as a living presence for the first time in your life. And then observe. Observe how you feel different. Observe the synchronicities that begin to appear. Observe the opportunities that present themselves. Observe how your vibration in relation to abundance transforms when you finally understand that you are not begging the universe for alms. You are establishing a divine partnership. Leave a comment below sharing which phrase from the ritual touched your heart the most. Let your written words seal this sacred commitment to transformation. Let it publicly witness your decision to evolve from lack to conscious abundance. Like this video if you felt your heart opening to a new possibility of prosperity. Let your like send a vibration of gratitude to the universe, signaling that you are ready to receive more revelations about the mysteries of divine abundance. Subscribe to the channel if you understood that this journey is just beginning, that there is much more to discover about the spiritual laws that govern manifestation, that you have chosen to be a conscious student of the divine mysteries that operate through matter. And share this message with someone you know is ready to awaken, because multiplied abundance is shared abundance. And when you spread consciousness about the true nature of money, you become an even more powerful channel for its manifestation. You are now an ambassador of conscious partnership with money, a bearer of the sacred codes of divine abundance, a being who understands that prosperity and spirituality are not opposites. They are complementary aspects of the same creative force. Money is no longer your problem. It is your manifested divine solution. Abundance is no longer your distant goal. It is your recognized essential nature. Prosperity is no longer an occasional accident. It is the natural state of your aligned consciousness. So it is. So it has always been. So it will always be. And now, you know,